Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today as always we're going to take a quick look at the crypto markets and then at some news, analysis, opinion, whatever all these tabs that I have open up here are. So let's start by taking a look at CoinMarketCap here, just refreshing this quick. And we see the market downturn from the last couple days continues. Most coins down a bit from yesterday, usually about 2%, but some outliers are EOS, which is down 9.9%, and Bitcoin Cash down 7.5%. Aside from that, pretty much everything in the red. Some minor exceptions, Binance Coin and NEM are doing well here, so is Dogecoin or Dogecoin, whatever you want to call it. I call it Dogecoin because that's just more funny. But yeah, nothing all that special going on here, just a continuation of the movement from the last week or so. After the initial crash, we saw some recovery about 6 days ago. Now, pretty much all of that has been undone at this point. You should probably get yourself ready for more of a downturn, because right now we see Bitcoin at $3,996. That is just under the core resistance of $4,000. And as long as it is under there and as long as it doesn't permanently manage to break out of that barrier, we're likely to see Bitcoin and by extension the rest of the markets falling further. But that is the short term, and in the long term people are a lot more optimistic. Looking at this first article here, we have some statements from Tom Lee about which cryptos are likely to do well in the long term. As always, all these articles will be linked in the description to read for yourself. Die-hard Bitcoin bull Tom Lee, the head of research at New York-based Fundstrat Global Advisors, recently sat down with Cointelegraph to provide his insight into the recent Bitcoin crash. Although Lee is often lambasted for his overly bullish calls, such as his forecast for Bitcoin to eclipse $15,000, the Fundstrat representative stayed away from issuing price predictions in this interview. Doing his best to attribute Bitcoin's foray under $6,000, then $5,000, then $4,000 to a catalyst, Lee, contradicting sentiment that crypto assets act against traditional markets, noted: global markets are down more than 10% between October and November. While crypto actually had a negative correlation in the last 6 weeks, it has flipped to one of the highest levels of correlation to global markets. So I think that the macro meltdown has actually finally hit the crypto, which further contributed to the essential panic selling. Now, this is something I've been saying for a while now, that we can't necessarily be sure that the crypto world is independent of traditional finance markets, not at this point at least, because what that assumes is that crypto is seen as a store of value, as to move your money out of the core traditional finance markets and into crypto when the core markets are crashing. But Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general do not yet have the stability or the public image to be quite in that position. I think we are going to see that. We are going to see cryptocurrencies become a market that is inverse proportional to the traditional financial market in the future, but I think the crypto market needs to mature significantly before then. Right now, the only places where we have seen that the crypto markets went up when the traditional financial markets crashed were individual countries that were going through hyperinflation. Now, in those cases, it's a sensible choice to take your money out of these fiat currencies, out of traditional investments there, and move it into crypto, because crypto, despite all its volatility, is a lot more stable than a fiat currency that is losing 10% of its value every single day. But those were extreme cases. And the market downturn that we're seeing globally in the traditional financial markets right now are not anywhere near as dire to make crypto the sensible choice for mainstream investors. So that traditional wisdom, I think we're not at the point yet. I think theoretically, crypto has the ability to become that, but we're going to need to see the markets mature significantly before that can happen. Anyways, let's go to his actual advice here. Cointelegraph, aiming to get the inside scoop on Lee's market outlook, asked the prominent market researcher, formerly of JP Morgan, if he had some advice to give hodlers, zealous cryptocurrency investors that are hesitant to capitulate. Surprisingly, seemingly contradicting his end-of-year price prediction and undying bullish sentiment for Bitcoin, Lee noted that investors need to be patient, adding that Fundstrat itself advises its client to have small exposure to crypto, a mere 1 to 2% of their investment portfolio. Giving this statement some rationale, he explained, so number one, they're not worrying about it every day, but also that's 2% that could become 50% in a decade. It can grow dramatically. This, of course, some people are asking why is he telling people to invest so little in the crypto markets. You have to keep in mind here that he is from the traditional finance world. He's working with institutional investors, with billionaires, and they first and foremost want something that is safe, where they can keep their money and where they will be secure, relatively secure, in the knowledge that that money will still be there. Now, I believe in the long-term prospects of the crypto market, but any random person just looking at the markets right now might be a bit too worried to put a significant amount of money in there, especially since we do not know when that next bull run will hit. And of course, the growth potential is so insanely huge in crypto that a relatively low amount invested there can become significantly more than it would in most other investments. So I think it's perfectly legitimate the advice that he is giving to investors here. 1 to 2% of their investment portfolio. Keep in mind, for a lot of these people, for a lot of these companies, that is still hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Although Lee went on to explain, to note that some crypto projects are probably hopeless, the Fundstrat in-house crypto savant explained that notable players like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP likely have the highest chances of surviving, especially in stormy market conditions. Explaining why this is the case, Lee noted that unless the aforementioned products are inherently broken, they are likely to maintain a semblance of value. I think they meant retain here. Anyway, so when asked if now is an optimal time to buy into Bitcoin, the researcher explained. So to me, crypto is exactly this moment that Bitcoin may have a downside in the near term. But this doesn't change the fact that it's still the earliest days of crypto and it's about to become an emerging asset class. So these factors are going to carry much higher prices, adoption is going to grow, and that we have institutional investors that will have opportunities to invest. So I think 2019 is a great year for Bitcoin. And I can pretty much agree with him here. We do not know what the short term is bringing to the crypto world. It is looking very possible that this might be an extended bear market, that it might go through into the beginnings of 2019 easily, and prices might drop even further. A lot of people are throwing around a $3,000 Bitcoin or even below, and that of course will have effects on the entire market. But in the long term, we know where this is going. We know that we're building all that infrastructure, all that exposure, all that mainstream adoption, and that is gonna come back in a big way. The only question is when. But while we're waiting for that, there is stuff going on in the crypto world. There is stuff going on every single day. So let's focus on those things and let's not look at the prices only. Now, XRP was just added to yet another exchange. XRP, of course, is now the number 2 crypto, has been in that spot for, I believe, almost 3 weeks now, pretty much securely grabbed the number 2 from Ethereum. And now we're seeing the pressure is high on exchanges that previously had not listed XRP to finally add it on their platforms. And the latest that had happened with is KuCoin or KuCoin. I don't actually know how this is pronounced. On December 3rd, one of the popular cryptocurrency exchanges, KuCoin, made the announcement that it has listed XRP on its platform, which is now the second largest cryptocurrency in the world at the moment, after leaving Ethereum behind at the beginning of November. In its official statement, the platform wrote, KuCoin is extremely proud to announce yet another great project coming to our trading platform. XRP is now available. Supported trading pairs include XRP Bitcoin, XRP Tether, XRP Ether, XRP PAX, XRP TUSD, XRP USDC, XRP KCS, and XRP NEO. And furthermore, they stated, XRP is now a KuCoin special offer. Users will enjoy 99% of the trading fees on XRP trading pairs. So this another large exchange now listing XRP, and they're listing it with a lot of trading pairs. Note, these are not all the trading pairs. This is, here they said include, so there are more than just these. This is likely how many they could fit into one tweet. But we're seeing now they're treating it almost like a base currency here. A ton of trading pairs. That, of course, good for the health of the crypto markets long term. The more we have trading pairs that do not use Bitcoin as the sole base currency, the better for the health of the markets, the better for altcoins to unlink from Bitcoin and to move independently. This is another step in the right direction for XRP, more exposure for the coin, and sooner or later we're going to see every major exchange list XRP, because at this point, if you don't list XRP, if you don't list the number 2 on the crypto markets, you're just losing out on so much potential profit. Like, some people have some real animosity to XRP, including some major exchanges, and some of that is definitely not rational. But at some point, they will have to decide, do they Do they just go with their gut and say, we don't like XRP, we're not going to list it? Or are they going to make some money? So we're going to see this more. We're going to see sooner or later every exchange probably list XRP. It is just undeniably the second most important player in the crypto world at this point, and not having it also devalues your platform at this point. Not having the second biggest cryptocurrency, what kind of exchange is that? Like, imagine wanting to buy a stock and going to a stock exchange, and it's one of the biggest stocks in the world, and they just say, we don't have that one. Utterly ridiculous. So sooner or later we're going to see XRP on every exchange. And any exchange that refuses to list XRP will become a joke. Like, Coinbase is already a joke to a lot of people for that reason. Anyways. We have some statements from a finance professor who says Bitcoin is worthless and is about to die. Now let's read this, because there is some core truth to the argument, but there are some serious issues with it, and I just want to look at this closely. Earlier this year, with the Bitcoin price trading around $7,000, Santa Clara University professor of finance Atulya Sarin, I probably mispronounced that, I'm very sorry, published an opinion piece arguing that the rising cost of crypto mining, coupled with the ability for bearish investors to short Bitcoin in the futures market, could spell doom for the flagship cryptocurrency. Now, following a further 45% decline, Sarin is calling it Bitcoin has entered a death spiral and is close to becoming worthless. Writing in an op-ed published in MarketWatch, Sarin alleged that the Bitcoin has embarked on a swift and painful drop to zero now that its price has dropped below the estimated cost of mining, which has begun to drive miners out of the market. As the cost of mining decreases, he alleges, so will the Bitcoin price. And his quote: "Mining at a cost higher than the cost at which you can sell in the futures market destroys value. So any rational investor, even one who strongly believes the price of Bitcoin will rebound, has no incentive to mine if the cost of mining is higher than the future price, and is better off buying in the futures market. And unlike gold, which can retain its value even if mining activity stops, Bitcoin can have no value absent the mining activity that maintains the ledger of who owns it. Absent the mining activity, Bitcoin is just a set of encrypted numbers with no value." And we don't really need the rest of this article. This is the core statement here. And now keep in mind, this is a well-respected economics finance professor at and well-established university. Just on the sheer economical theoretical level, looking at Bitcoin as an asset here, he is making some sense. He does know what he's talking about, but he doesn't quite seem to understand Bitcoin and by extension cryptocurrency. So yes, there is definitely an issue with mining costs being higher than the cost of a Bitcoin, because at that point mining of course happens at a loss and nobody wants to make a loss. What he doesn't seem to really consider, or he might consider and not recognize the gravity of, is that A, the mining cost can actually fall, and we are seeing it fall. We'll talk about that in one moment in the follow-up article there. But the price of Bitcoin doesn't move in only one direction. The price of Bitcoin mining does not move in only one direction. These miners who are now leaving the mining business, they are also resulting in the mining prices for Bitcoin falling. And right now we have a mining price that is just ever so slightly higher than the Bitcoin price. Once again, more about that in 1 second. And the other point here, that Bitcoin cannot work without mining. Now, that is true. We do need miners on the network to make the blockchain work. But what we do not need is all the miners on it right now. As long as there is a dedicated core number of miners on the network. And that will absolutely remain, because there are enough people who believe in Bitcoin for its own sake, who are going to keep their rigs running either way. Even if they currently are operating at a profit, a lot of people are just gonna keep mining Bitcoin and they just won't sell them until the prices are back up. That is not necessarily working at a loss. That is working at a future profit. That is working at a profit that will just happen in another calendar year. So I don't think he quite understands how cryptocurrencies work. Now, if his argument here was true, that mining cost is higher and will remain higher than the cost of a Bitcoin itself, then his argument here would be legitimate. But the fact is, the Bitcoin price is variable, is volatile, and so is mining cost. Mining cost can and is going down, and we also do not know how long the Bitcoin price will remain low. It could very well break out just high enough for mining to be profitable again any moment. And let's look at some actual data about mining. Bitcoin mining difficulty just saw its second largest drop in history. So already cutting straight through the argument that mining cost is going up and Bitcoin price is going down and that can't be profitable, mining cost is also going down. The crypto market's prolonged decline has finally begun to manifest in the Bitcoin mining industry, which had at times seemed impervious to falling prices but is now experiencing a moderate exodus. At a basic level, miners produce Bitcoin blocks by competing to solve complex mathematical problems. When the hash rate increases, blocks are found more quickly, while the converse occurs when the hash rate declines. To maintain a consistent block time of about 10 minutes, Bitcoin automatically adjusts the difficulty of these problems at roughly 2-week intervals to account for new machines entering or exiting the network. For years, the difficulty has almost exclusively increased as a general price uptrend coupled with rapid advancements in mining technology has resulted in sustained hash rate growth, even during periods of negative market trajectory. However, nearly 1 year into a bear market that has seen the Bitcoin price fall more than $16,000 from its all-time high, that is no longer true. And here we see the development. Here you see the run-up. This is where the last bull market hit. This is the bear market, and here we see it up, and finally it is down by almost a third. As CCN reported, the Bitcoin hash rate has been in decline since mid-October, as falling prices hastened to the rate at which older miner models became obsolete and profit-driven firms at the margins began to turn off their machines to avoid operating at a loss. One estimate pegs the average cost of producing a new unit of Bitcoin at $4,500, a mark Bitcoin has generally traded below since November 20th. So here we see it now. It is actually following the market movements of the Bitcoin price and lowering itself accordingly. Now at this current point, the average cost of producing a Bitcoin is still slightly above the Bitcoin price. Bitcoin right now at $3,980. A couple days ago it was about $4,200. So between 8 and 15% lower than the price of currently mining a Bitcoin. But you also have to keep in mind this is the average cost of producing a Bitcoin. That can vary significantly based on in which country you are mining, what technology you are using. Even the season, because in some countries electricity is significantly cheaper in winter than it is in summer, or the other way around, depending on which methods of energy creation are being used there. Depending on what the laws in your country are, the price of creating a Bitcoin is different, depending on how highly you are being taxed. So this is the average cost. Average at $4,500 means there are almost certainly people who can still mine Bitcoin at a profit right now. And there is of course another way of looking at this. You can keep your miners running under the knowledge, well, not quite a knowledge, the expectation that the Bitcoin price will rebound, and you can just lock those newly created Bitcoin away until you can sell them off. If you have enough funding, if you have enough, if you're not in monetary troubles, that is a possibility. So this is not doom for the crypto world. This is not doom for Bitcoin. Now it definitely is an issue, and it is a lot of miners are probably going to go out of business if this continues for a long time, because there are some who simply cannot produce at a rate where they will make money right now. And if they are already in monetary problems, if they might not have the company running in the most efficient way, that could definitely kill some miners right now. But we also know that even within the Bitcoin mining world, the sentiment is that this will turn around, is that the Bitcoin price will at some point exceed the mining costs again, and that there is a lot of money long-term in Bitcoin mining. Just in my last video, I was talking about some news about 2 new funds that are built on top of Bitcoin mining for $50 million each in Europe and in Asia. If that doesn't tell you that investors and that the mining world thinks we are going north in the future, well, I don't know what to tell you. But let's talk about some positive news about Bitcoin that might make us hopeful about its future potential and mainstream usage. The Bitcoin subreddit hits 1 million subscribers. That is huge. That is huge. You might wonder why I'm talking about this, but let's read this and then I'll explain why this is important. Stalwart Bitcoin community subreddit Bitcoin has hit the 1 million subscriber mark, according to a post from moderator Iberlite on December 2nd. One of the most well-known online Bitcoin communities, Bitcoin was founded in September 2010, almost 2 years after the release of the Bitcoin white paper. The subreddit has reached the 1 million subscriber point amid the recent market slump beginning on November 14th, which continued throughout the week as Bitcoin fell below $4,000. The subreddit notes in its description that they are dedicated to Bitcoin, the currency of the internet. And that is essentially what we need to read here. But you might wonder, why do we care that an internet community around Bitcoin has a lot of members? Well, we care because 1 million is a mighty large number. And this has been growing progressively for 8 years and continued growing in market downturns. Now just imagine 1 million people standing in front of you. Yeah, that is insane. So some of these are probably inactive because this has been around for 8 years, but still that means there are hundreds of thousands of people who actively want to keep up with Bitcoin news and Bitcoin discussion. And that is just on Reddit. If you don't know what Reddit is essentially, it's kind of a mix between social media and content aggregator. You can essentially share links to other online content in communities on Reddit. Now there's a core page, but usually where most of the activity happens is in so-called subreddits. Those are smaller communities and Bitcoin is one of them. And that community alone, 1 million subscribers. Now there are of course other communities around crypto on Reddit as well. So altogether there are a lot more than these 1 million people. But that is just huge. That is hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million. Well, the number is actually over 1 million, but like I said, some of them are almost certainly inactive accounts. But that many people want to keep up to date with Bitcoin. That kind of mainstream exposure, 1 million people anywhere is mainstream. And that is also all happening in English. So that is just of the English speaking world. You have 1 million people who care enough to follow the Bitcoin subreddit, who care enough about Bitcoin news, about Bitcoin discussion, about cryptocurrency news, about the markets. And that isn't the only space where we're seeing cryptocurrencies incredibly successful online. Just look at YouTube. Some crypto YouTubers have well over 100,000 subscribers. And with their videos regularly hit 50, 100,000 views, or even more. I've seen crypto videos that have over 1 million views. And then all of these news pages, these weren't around a couple of years ago. These were all, like here, up here. Almost all of these are specifically crypto news pages. And they are growing, and these have to make money, so you know they're getting hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of hits every month. There's such a hunger for crypto, for information about crypto, for discussion around crypto. And it is going more and more mainstream, and we don't see these things instantly reflected in the markets. But this is the groundwork for a bull run bigger than any we have ever seen before. And I'm not gonna pretend that I know when it's going to happen, because anyone who claims they do is lying. I can make some educated guesses where events might happen that may launch a bull run, but anyone who tells you it is definitely happening on that date, or this coin will definitely have this value at that date, they are liars. Do not listen to those people. But you know what I can tell you without even a hint of doubt in my mind? It's that crypto is going huge, it's that the next bull run is coming, and that one will be bigger than ever before. And it will likely also be a bubble that pops. But after that bubble pops, as we've always seen, we have these crypto bubbles every couple of years. And they pop. And then everyone makes fun of crypto. Everyone, all the traditional investors look at this as a take that moment. Haha, look at these stupid crypto investors. What they don't pay attention to is after these crashes, we get a new base level after they crash. And that is usually multiple times what the base level was before the last bull run. So even among all of these bubbles that are popping, we're always growing. Every time we're bigger than before. And even right now, everyone is depressed over Bitcoin being $4,000. Before the last bull run, we had never seen Bitcoin anywhere near to $4,000 before. Before the last bull run, Bitcoin was trading between $200 and $400 for years. So that was the baseline. And now this new baseline, 20 times that. What is the next baseline going to be? Where is the next bull run going to do? Because every bull run is going anywhere from 5 to 50 times as big as the one before. So this time we went to $20,000 Bitcoin. Where is next? 200,000? 400,000? 500,000? Maybe just 50,000. What I know is at some point we're going to hit a bull run that will be absolutely crazy. It will be bigger than ever before seen. And it is happening at some point. And every day when we see all these news about mainstream exposure, about infrastructure being built, about more and more people being interested in cryptocurrency, this is all the groundwork. So don't fear, have patience, and invest. Just don't invest any money that you can't risk losing. And our future is very bright, and a lot of people who are laughing now will not be the people laughing in a couple of years. And yeah, a lot of people have predicted doom for the crypto world pretty much since it began existing. They have always been wrong. They continue to be wrong. Yeah. On that hopeful note, I will end this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I had tried to make a video yesterday, but I ran into technical issues and my file was corrupted. Most of these are actually topics from that video, so sorry if I'm like one day late on these. But after that video crashed, I was not in the mood to make the exact same video again. So here we go. Here it is now today. If you want to read any of these articles yourself, they will be linked in the description. If you like this video, if you want to get daily crypto news and market updates, make sure to subscribe. If you're already subscribed and like my content, want to help the channel in some way, there are ways to do that in the description. Anything is highly appreciated. And you will also find my social media links in there. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you guys with another video tomorrow.